Hey everyone, welcome back to the Guided Programming Coaching Call. Coach Mike. And this week, first question is actually a question, it's a really good question, one that, I don't know, I like these types of questions. It says, how do you use the safety squat bar for assistance or supplemental work? Well, the safety squat bar is a really versatile tool and it really fits in either category, assistance or supplemental. And it's kind of how it's employed that will determine where it falls. If you're doing just safety bar squats and the reps are a little bit low, the RPE is a little bit high, basically you're doing higher intensity work, then it's going to fit more in the assistance category. And then if you're keeping the reps high, the intensity generally lower, it's going to fit more in the supplemental category. What safety bar work is good for? In the assistance slot, we're thinking movements, not muscles. And in that slot, where I find myself reaching for the safety squat bar most often are people that have a chest fall issue. Now, we're going to do a whole podcast about that later this week, so stay tuned for that if that's your thing. But just kind of the quick version of what chest fall is. If you squat into the bottom, and then when you start to drive up out of the hole, if your hips come up and your knees travel back, basically your back gets more parallel without the bar coming up too much. That's chest fall. We're just terming that just generally chest fall. It's not like a mistake or an error or anything like that. It's just an indication of a certain set of weaknesses. People that have that sort of pattern, especially a pronounced pattern for that tendency, typically do well with things like safety bar work and pin squats in the assistance category. Now, you can still use the safety bar in a supplemental slot. It's just the intensity is going to be a lot lower. And in that case, you're not thinking so much of avoiding chest fall or training yourself out of the movement pattern chest fall, but you're thinking more about muscles in that case. So supplemental work's more focused on muscles, not so much on movements. And so in that case, we're typically looking at quad development, things along those lines. That tends to be the biggest culprit is quad development. So a safety bar, it fits the purpose. It's maybe not the absolute best choice as a supplemental work if you fall into that chest fall sort of problem. There are other movements out there that also target quad development. Where the safety bar shines in supplemental work, if you imagine specificity as this, as a sliding scale, and you have highly specific competition exercises on one end, and then the most general exercises on the other end, so highly specific competition exercises, and then you go a little bit further and you get to assistance exercises, and you go to a little bit further and you get supplemental exercises. Where safety bar work fits is kind of on that line in between assistance and supplemental work. That's why if you train it heavier, it fits more in the assistance category. If you train it lighter, it's more in the supplemental category. But in general, I think it's going to be a little bit better fit and a little bit better in terms of practicality if you're putting it in that assistance slot.